Good Monday afternoon, Monday evening to you all on this July 8th. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. We're going to give you an update on Tropical Storm Beryl as well as the long range forecast going into the middle of July in this update. So looking here at the potential for more heavy rain with this system as it moves up into the mid-Mississippi Valley over the next 24 to 48 hours. This is the infrared satellite imagery, and you can see some very deep reds over here into Arkansas, into Louisiana and East Texas. Those are those taller thunderstorm cores that are producing very heavy rain, but also the tornado potential down across this region here today. And in fact, this system, the newest advisory from the National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida, has this weakening to a 45-mile-per-hour tropical storm. The movement is starting to get faster. It's moving north-northeast at 16 miles per hour now, arriving in northeastern Arkansas toward the Jonesboro area by 1 p.m. Central Daylight Time on Tuesday. 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Wednesday into the Toledo region, and 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Thursday on up into portions of Ontario and Quebec. So looking here at the intensity guidance, this is all the models here that are showing this weakening back to a very weak tropical storm and then a post-tropical cyclone as it moves further inland toward the Ohio River Valley, the Great Lakes, and more importantly, southeastern Canada here, and really starting to weaken within the next 12 to 24 hours there. So it's going to turn from a wind event more to a heavy rainfall event with even some tornadoes as well. We have to watch the eastern quadrant of the system tonight across the lower Mississippi Valley. If you do live over here into Arkansas, Louisiana, even western Mississippi, you do want to watch that tornado potential. There's already been 4 confirmed tornadoes across portions of East Texas into northwestern Louisiana, and more are likely to come as we have that instability and we have those rain bands on the eastern side working up into the lower and middle Mississippi Valley. And you can see the Storm Prediction Center does maintain a 2% chance of tornadoes in the dark green here. In the browns from Little Rock down to Lake Charles, that's a 5% chance of a tornado. And then in and around the Shreveport, Louisiana area, that is a 10% chance of tornadoes in this yellow area. So that is a pretty decent chance of tornadoes. And you can see as we go into the day on Tuesday, the eastern quadrant of the system will be moving up toward the Ohio River Valley. And that means the areas there across portions of Louisville, down there toward Paducah and vicinity, even up towards Cincinnati, Indianapolis, need to be watching out for the potential of tornadoes going into the day on Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon, and Tuesday evening. This is going to be an all-day affair here across portions of the Ohio River Valley. Very heavy rain spreading up into the southern suburbs of Chicago, into Indianapolis, Fort Wayne, Indiana, up there toward Kalamazoo and Grand Rapids, Detroit, getting into the Cincinnati area here, Columbus, and maybe even into the Toledo area as we go into Tuesday night. Widespread heavy rain, some flash flooding concerns there. And then as we go into Wednesday, that just kind of slows down a little bit. The deformation rain band kind of sits over Michigan there into northern Indiana, northwestern Ohio, and then some of that rain spreading across southeastern Canada and the northeast going into the day on Wednesday. So very heavy rain is still anticipated from Tyler, Texas, all the way to Detroit. So we're going to be keeping an eye on this heavy swath of rain where you see the oranges and reds, even maroon reds here. That is anywhere from 2 to 4 inches of rain with locally higher amounts than 4 inches possible going through Wednesday night here on July 10th. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that. A very sharp northern periphery of this rain band as well. Downtown Chicago, you could only see maybe a half an inch of rain. You go to the southern suburbs, you could see a couple inches of rain, and then you go to the northern suburbs, barely a drop of rain at all. That is the sharp gradient there on the northern periphery of this rain band. And kind of zooming it in to show you here some localized areas. Like I said, down into the St. Louis area, you're probably looking at 3 inches. Little Rock around 2 to 3 inches there. Into the Tyler, Texas area, an additional 2 to 3, even 4 inches possible. Indianapolis around 1.5 inches. And then getting up here into portions of Detroit around 2 inches, Kalamazoo 2 inches, into the Grand Rapids area 1.5 inches to 2 inches, and the Toledo area around 1.5 inches to 2 inches. So a lot of rainfall there. Some of that will be spreading over here to the northeast. Buffalo, New York, Watertown, you guys will be seeing around 1 inch of rain. Albany, New York, around 1/2 inch, and then over here into portions, say, of Vermont, New Hampshire, around 1/4 to 1/2 inch of rain possible going through Wednesday night. Flash flooding is going to be a concern. There is a moderate risk for flash flooding. Numerous flash floods are likely here across northeast Texas into southwestern Arkansas, from Tyler, Texas, up to the Texarkana region through tonight. Slight risk extending up there into the Ozarks region of Missouri. We have the slight risk of flash flooding moving up into the middle Mississippi Valley, Ohio River Valley as we go into the day on Tuesday. Then as we go into Wednesday, the Great Lakes region there and into the northeast, we have that marginal slight risk of flash flooding there as we go into the middle of the week on Wednesday. So just to, re-exercise this and show you what this means, a slight risk of flash flooding means scattered flash floods are possible. A moderate risk, much like we see in northeast Texas, southwestern Arkansas, numerous flash floods are likely, and some of that could affect some larger rivers as well. So make sure to be mindful of that. Beyond this, looking behind Beryl, there's not much to talk about here, thankfully, in the North Atlantic Ocean so far. And looking at the Eastern Pacific, the National Hurricane Center over the next week or so, over the next 7 days, is pretty quiet as well. So that's some good news. But looking at the long-range guidance, the experts over the Climate Prediction Center, going through the 16th of July, pretty quiet there in the tropical Atlantic, into the Caribbean, the Gulf, and the Western Atlantic as well. Same thing going into that third week of July. We may have to watch something in the MDR, but that again is around a week away, but that will be something to keep an eye on during that July 17th through the July 23rd timeframe. Maybe a couple systems trying to get going there as well into the Eastern Pacific Ocean in that third week of July, again, between July 17th and July 23rd. Looking here nationally at the country with our temperatures, today was a very warm day across the western U.S. We saw temperatures up here into Seattle, Portland, Oregon, and Sacramento around 30 to 35 degrees above average. Of course, in the middle of the country, a lot more cloud cover and some rainfall there, precipitation, keeping our temperature anomalies around 20 to even 30 degrees below normal in some of these areas, especially down there toward Texas. And looking here at the geopotential height, this basically just shows you where the strongest warming is in the upper levels of the atmosphere. As we go into Tuesday, that'll be across the desert Southwest, a little bit of a ridge across the southeast coast. This dip you see here, that is Beryl, the remnants of it, moving to the northeast as we go into Tuesday. Going into Wednesday, you see Beryl up here into the Great Lakes. That's where that dip is. Very strong ridge out west as we go into Wednesday, Thursday, and into Friday. Just expands a little bit toward the Rockies. So looking at this week, the rest of the week between tomorrow on Tuesday and Friday, the 12th of July, you can see a lot of the heat remaining across the west and even western Canada, British Columbia, Alberta, and Saskatchewan. Going to be very warm, very dry up here as well. So drought will likely be expanding and intensifying over the next 7 days. Cooler weather where Beryl's remnants are going to be moving across the middle of the country with more cloud cover, precipitation. Naturally, that will knock our temperatures below normal. And then a little bit of a mishmash of weather here. Some sunny days, some cloudy days with some precipitation across the east. We'll lean a little bit above normal with our temperatures from Maine to Florida and everywhere in between. Looking at the weekend ahead, on Saturday, July 13th and Sunday, July 14th, we're entering towards the middle of July now. Hard to say, we're already into the middle of July here this weekend. And you can see that ridge across the Rockies is going to expand in coverage, not only across the west, but it's going to start expanding east toward the Great Plains and into the Midwest there and across the Gulf Coast. And this means a lot more of the heat will be building across the United States and into the northern tier of the United States as well, where it has actually been cooler over the past couple of weeks. So, and that will also push the jet stream further north this weekend as well. So the active storm track will be pushing further north into the Intermountain West, all the way up here into Montana, into North Dakota, but also the southern Canadian prairies as well. And you can see on Saturday, outside of a couple popcorn isolated storms, if you reach convective temperature, then you could see a storm pop up anywhere. That'll happen into Sunday as well. But in general, the more organized precipitation and storm systems will be up there into southern, even central Canada, into Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Ontario, and Quebec, and most of the United States will be baking in the heat. And you can see a lot of white here on the map across the U.S. That means no rain. So out west, the Rockies, the middle of the country, and the Great Plains, much of the east there across the southeast, into the mid-Atlantic, the northeast here will be very dry, hit and miss showers and storms at times across the Mississippi Valley, but the main storm track will be across the southern and even central Canadian prairies for the weekend. So thank you all for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel down below. We'll have a new weather forecast update for you tomorrow morning on Tuesday. Make sure to give the video a like down below. I definitely appreciate it. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. We'll get to those after the video. Thank you all for watching once again. Thanks for all the support. My name is Hunter with Weather on the Go, and I'll see you all in the next update.